Hello and welcome back to Westferry Times.
Great to be here.
We're dropping into another deep dive today, and we're tackling, well, a really significant topic, one that affects almost everyone in some way: cancer.
It definitely carries a lot of weight. But looking at it through the lens of solid data, like this big report we're examining, gives such important perspective.
Absolutely. We've got this landmark report from Cancer Research UK. And this isn't just, a quick look. It's 50 years of data. 50
An
years.
incredible amount of information.
It gives us this huge view of the fight against cancer. So our mission today is to really unpack what it says, what are the key findings, what does this half century of data actually tell us about progress, the challenges, and maybe most importantly, what does it mean for the future and for you listening?
Yeah, it's quite something. It manages to be both, well, a story of amazing scientific success, but also a pretty stark reminder of the hurdles and, frankly, the inequalities we still face.
It really lays it all out. And the headline numbers themselves tell this fascinating story, almost a paradox, really. We've seen this amazing 20% drop in the rate of people dying from cancer over 50 years.
Which is huge. Represents so many lives saved.
Countless lives, families kept together. But then at the same time, the actual number of new cancer cases,
Yeah.
it's going up.
And understanding why both those things are true, that's really the key, isn't it, to unlocking the whole picture here.
Okay, let's jump straight into that paradox then, because it feels wrong somehow. Deaths down, cases up. How does that actually work?
It seems like a contradiction, I agree. But both trends, when you dig into the data, they actually reflect different kinds of progress in a way.
Okay.
So the drop in death rates, that's powerful proof of how much better we've gotten at treating cancer once it's found.
Right.
We're finding many cancers earlier now, catching them smaller when they're easier to treat. Our treatments themselves are just light years ahead of where they were, things like targeted therapies.
Attacking just the cancer cells.
Exactly. Less collateral damage than older methods. And public awareness campaigns have genuinely worked too. People getting symptoms checked sooner.
So if you get diagnosed today, your odds of surviving are just fundamentally better than in the 70s.
Massively better. For many cancers, it's a huge improvement after diagnosis. Now, the other side, the rise in the number of cases,
Yeah.
that's linked very strongly to something else we see as good news overall.
Yeah.
We're living much longer.
Oh, right.
And age is probably the single biggest risk factor for cancer. The older we get, the more chances there are for cells to make mistakes, essentially. So as lifespans have increased over these 50 years, more of us are reaching the ages where cancer risk climbs significantly.
Okay, so the rise in cases is sort of a side effect of success elsewhere. Medicine keeping us alive longer, meaning more people live long enough for cancer to potentially develop.
Yeah.
Well, it's good news with a serious catch.
It is. It shows how success in one area can reveal challenges in another. And the report is really clear. This progress, it hasn't been a simple, even wave.
You mean not all cancers have improved at the same rate?
Not even close. Overall, survival has doubled for many cancers since the 70s, which is fantastic. But some types, tragically, show much, much less progress. We've gotten incredibly good at some, while others are still incredibly difficult to treat.
So where does the data show the biggest wins? The real success stories?
Oh, there are some truly inspiring ones. Testicular cancer is maybe the most dramatic example. It went from being, frankly, often a death sentence back then, to now having survival rates over 95%.
Wow.
It's largely curable for most. Childhood leukemia, too, massive improvements from dedicated research and treatment plans, and even very common cancers like breast cancer, if you catch it early. The survival rates are so much higher than decades ago. It shows what's possible when we focus effort.
Those are genuinely amazing improvements. But I'm guessing the report also digs into the why behind the cancers that are rising or not seeing that same progress, linking it back to causes.
Yes, absolutely. And if we link that back to the overall rise in cases, one of the, well, most powerful and maybe challenging takeaways is the undeniable link between lifestyle factors and cancer risk.
This is where the science is clear, but changing things gets complicated, right? What specific links does the report emphasize?
The data is very clear. Things like smoking, obviously,
Yeah.
our diet, how much alcohol we drink, physical inactivity, obesity, too much sun exposure without protection. These are major drivers.
Any specific examples in the trends?
Yeah, look at lung cancer. Rates in men have dropped significantly, which tracks directly with falling smoking rates thanks to public health campaigns and policies.
Right.
But the drop hasn't been as sharp in women, which reflects their different historical smoking patterns.
Right.
And then you see rising rates for other cancers like liver, bowel, melanoma, skin cancer, and those are strongly tied to things like alcohol, diet, obesity, and sunbeds or sun exposure.
And there's that statistic, isn't there? The one about prevention.
There is. And it's a number that really hits you. 4 in 10 cancers. 4 out of every 10 cases diagnosed could potentially be prevented
4 in 10, preventable.
through changes in these known lifestyle factors.
That's staggering. I mean, you think about the human cost represented in that number. Suffering, loss, that the science says is potentially avoidable.
It really is. And this highlights that tension, doesn't it?
Yes.
We know the science, the links are clear, but actually putting effective public health strategies in place, supporting people to make healthier choices when, let's face it, the environment often pushes us the other way.
Like junk food ads everywhere.
Exactly. Or tackling things like alcohol pricing. That's where it gets really tough. The report doesn't just state the facts, it sort of underlines the gap between what we know scientifically and what we manage to achieve as a society. And crucially, it stresses this isn't about blaming people, it's about creating environments where the healthy choice is the easy choice.
Yeah, that's key. Okay, let's shift slightly. The report isn't just about preventing or treating the initial disease. It talks about what comes after. It mentions 3 million people in the UK are living with cancer now.
Which in itself reflects treatment success.
Right.
More people surviving. But the report makes it incredibly clear. Living with cancer, or after cancer, isn't simple. Survivorship is complex.
How so?
The data shows it comes with really significant long-term challenges. Things our health and social systems maybe aren't fully set up to handle yet.
What kind of challenges are we talking about beyond just being clear of the disease?
Well, ongoing physical side effects from treatment can linger for years. There are major mental health impacts. Anxiety, depression are common. Huge difficulties getting back to work or staying in employment. Many survivors need quite complex, coordinated follow-up care, psychological support, sometimes practical or financial help too. And the system often struggles to deliver that smoothly and consistently for everyone.
So it sounds like the focus has been, understandably, on beating the cancer itself, but we're maybe still playing catch-up on supporting the whole person through that journey and afterwards.
That's a very accurate way to put what the data suggests. And this ties into another critical point the report really drives home, the stark reality of inequality.
Inequality in cancer, how does that show up in the data?
The report is unambiguous. Your chances of being diagnosed later, when cancer is harder to treat, they're higher if you live in a more deprived area.
Which directly impacts survival.
Directly, outcomes are worse.
Yeah.
And similarly, the data shows people from ethnic minority backgrounds can face delays in getting diagnosed and starting treatment.
So even with amazing science and dedicated doctors, where you live or your background can genuinely change your odds of surviving cancer.
That's precisely what the data shows. It raises fundamental questions about fairness, about equity. We have this incredible knowledge, this potential, but it's not reaching everyone equally. There's a powerful implied statement in the report. Cancer doesn't discriminate, but sometimes our systems, our access points, kind of do. Closing that gap between what science makes possible and what actually happens for everyone, that's a huge call to action here.
It's a massive challenge. Now, this report isn't just looking back 50 years. It uses that data to look forward too, right? Like a roadmap. What does the future look like?
Yes, it definitely looks ahead. And the scientific possibilities are, well, genuinely exciting. The report points to this accelerating move towards much more personalized treatment, precision medicine.
Tailoring treatment to the individual's specific cancer based on genetics.
Exactly. Using detailed information from someone's tumor to pick the therapy most likely to work best for them. That promises, better results and hopefully fewer difficult side effects. Technology is also huge. AI is mentioned.
How would AI help?
In diagnostics mainly, for now. Helping doctors analyze scans, pathology slides, maybe spotting things faster or more accurately.
And what about catching cancer even earlier? I hear about things like liquid biopsies.
Yeah, liquid biopsies are a really hot area of research mentioned. Simple blood tests, potentially.
That's a blood test.
That could maybe detect tiny bits of cancer DNA floating around long before a tumor shows up on a scan. Imagine finding cancers at that super early stage. The impact on survival could be enormous.
That sounds revolutionary. Does all this mean we're close to, like, a single cure for cancer? Is that the direction?
The report doesn't really frame it like that, and most experts wouldn't either. It's unlikely to be one magic bullet for cancer because it's so many different diseases.
Okay.
Instead, the future probably looks more like treating many cancers as long-term manageable conditions,
Right.
like how we manage heart disease or diabetes now, people living with it for longer with good quality of life.
Right.
And for some cancers, maybe we can even prevent them entirely through things like vaccines, like HPV, or perhaps further down the line, even gene editing technologies.
So a shift from often terminal to potentially manageable or preventable, that's profound.
It really is. And it's big, but getting there isn't guaranteed. The report is clear. It needs sustained funding for the research. It needs political will to act on the prevention side, tackle those inequalities. And it needs continued public support and engagement.
Okay, so let's bring this right back home. For someone listening to this deep dive, hearing about all this, the progress, the challenges, the future, the inequalities, what can you actually do? What are the concrete takeaways?
Well, the most immediate, powerful actions link back to that 4 in 10 preventable stat.
Hmm.
The data is just so clear. If you smoke, the best thing you can do is get support to quit. If you don't start.
Okay.
Think about alcohol intake. Limiting, it helps. Aim for a healthy weight, stay active, eat plenty of fiber, fruit, veg, whole grains, protect your skin from the sun. These aren't just vague suggestions. The report shows they make a real difference to your risk.
And what about interacting with healthcare, screening?
Absolutely vital. Take up screening invitations. When you get them, bowel, breast, cervical cancer screening saves lives by catching things early. And maybe the most important thing, if you notice anything unusual with your body, something that's changed and isn't going away, talk to your GP.
Don't put it off.
Don't put it off. Trust your instincts. Early detection, the report confirms again and again, massively improves outcomes.
And if people want to help the bigger picture beyond their own health?
Well, organizations like Cancer Research UK, who did this report, rely heavily on public donations. Supporting their research, whether you donate, fundraise, volunteer, that directly funds the science we've been talking about, the breakthroughs in treatment, detection, prevention, every little bit genuinely contributes to moving things forward.
It really brings it back to the people behind the numbers, doesn't it? Every statistic in that huge report.
Always. It's easy to talk about data, but data is people. Every survival rate, every incidence number, that's a life, a family, a story, a struggle that maybe could be avoided or a fight that could be won with the knowledge we have and the actions we take.
That's such a powerful reminder. This CRUK report, 50 years of data, it's not just history, it's a roadmap. It shows incredible progress, sure, but also where we absolutely need to focus, the inequalities, the prevention gaps.
It gives us that long view, showing the power of research and public health, but also the urgency of making sure everyone benefits and empowering people with what we know.
Definitely. It lays out where we've been and where we need to go.
It really illuminates the critical areas for the next 50 years where focus, funding, action are needed most.
So for you listening, we hope this dive into the report has been useful. It's really an invitation, isn't it, to take this knowledge about reducing your own risk, about the importance of early detection, about the power of research, and maybe act on it.
Yeah. Share what you've learned. Maybe support the organizations doing the work. Perhaps book that GP appointment if something's been nagging you.
Because the science is moving fast, but this report makes it so clear. Turning that potential into reality for everyone, that takes collective will and it takes individual action too.
Sure.
So maybe we can leave you with this thought right from the heart of what this data tells us. We see this incredible scientific progress, right? And we see these undeniable links, data-driven links between our lifestyles, our environment, our health. We also see the stark inequalities in who gets diagnosed when and who survives. So the question is, what responsibility do we have as individuals and together as a society to close that gap? The gap between what science now makes possible in fighting cancer and what's actually happening for people right now.
It's a really important question to sit with.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the Cancer Research UK report.
Thanks for unpacking it with me. Vital stuff.
Thank you for watching Westferry Times. Stay curious, stay well, and we'll see you next time.